Hello everyone and welcome to another video with me, Umber, and today we're going to be talking about summons in War of the Visions. Another topic on the list of many topics that I do have to talk about. And yeah, summons are a really important thing to be getting. I know that all the time people are super focused on characters. Like you see a lot of the times it's like, oh, Frederica, Shadowlynx, Orlandu, Ramza. There are tons of great characters, and yes, characters are a primary thing, but you should not underestimate Espers. Espers are a good constant source of damage, and there's quite a few ways to build Espers in this game. Now, since I have been playing since day one on the JP side, I finally more recently ended up getting my very first summon up to max level. Now, a lot of you guys have probably gotten your summons in the game, or you have definitely some summons. Maybe if you're lucky you also have some UR summons too, such as Ifrit, Shiva, or Golem, and eventually there will be more summons added to the game. But when you get a summon, well, guess what? They start off as 1-star awakening, and you can actually awaken your Espers. So we're going to talk about all of this stuff today, but first of all, Espers. You know, let's take a look at what a max Esper looks like. I was kind of holding off on this video until I ended up getting a summon up to the maximum level that you can do. And for me, my first one was Odin. Not one of the first summons I got, one of the summons I got quite a bit later, but one of the more useful summons that I have definitely had. And taking a look at him, you can take a look at where I have built his sphere grid, and you can kind of get an idea for how much of the sphere grid you can actually fill out with a max level summon like Odin. If you're thinking, hey, I can unlock everything, you can't. So that's a little bit too bad, but regardless. So you get your Esper, and what are you supposed to do with it? Well, you're supposed to use Magicite to level them up. So taking, for example, Gerudo, who's a level 1, using Magicite will give them levels, and then that gives them SP, and with SP you can unlock abilities. Pretty simple for all of that stuff. Now, once you get a 1-star awakening Esper up to its maximum level, what are you to do? Well, the far plane is where you go to this back option right here. In it, you can fight Espers, and fighting the Espers will give you their awakening material. You actually don't have to pull in War of the Visions for Esper awakening material. You can just get it from these fights or from farming in the Esper plains. But for the big Espers, such as, I don't know, let's take this one for example, which is, I do believe Siren. Yes, should be Siren. Anyway, fighting these will give you basically all the materials. So long as you can do all of the quests, some of them require elemental chaining, which is a little bit more difficult, so if you can't do it right away, it's okay. Max level Espers are a very, very long-term project anyway. But taking a look at some missions, there are some missions that you do, like, you won't be getting much out of it without having the Esper, so don't worry about it if you can't do it right away. These are some challenge missions. If you're wondering about how difficult they are, they say level 70. I completed them fairly early on with not level 70 units with job level 10, so they're not quite that difficult. If you have a proper team set up with tanks and healers and whatnot, you can clear these things, but there are a high amount of stamina. So anyway, going back to it, I'm sure a lot of people are asking this, and I get this question asked a lot. What are the best Espers for different types of attackers? Because elemental, when it comes to the element of your summon, that is not important. What is important are two things. First of all, in my other video I covered about this, is Esper compatibility with the unit. In other words, your unit gets better performance out of its Esper if it has been equipped to that unit for a long time. Take, for example, Ramza here. Ramza has a level 8, which is much better than Engelbert, but less good than Christmas Ramada. Basically, the longer that you have an Esper equipped to a unit, and the more times they have that going into battle, the more compatibility they will develop, and the better overall your team will be. So Esper maximizing for this is an important long-term goal. Now, so yes, and so compatibility is a big thing, but the other thing that is really big is matching a summon's attack type. There are, of course, attack and magic summons, but one of the big things in War of the Visions is the damage type that your unit can do, as well as what role your unit is providing. So let's take a look at, this is taken from Ultima, and this is basically the best for every type of unit. So slash attackers, Odin is number 1, followed by the more recent addition of the two-headed dragon, and third place is Behemoth. Pierce attackers, basically your spear wielders, are Ifrit, Bomb, and Siren. Blow attackers, which are fist users, are Lamia, Zu, and Morbol. Shooting attackers are Tetraselphid, Odin, and Ifrit, with magic attackers being best in class by Shiva, then Ramu, then Cactar, and tanks, Death Machine, who is a new one on the JP side, and a limited summon, I do believe. But don't quote me on that, because the FF1 event would be really confusing, because Warrior of Light is limited, but it'd be weird if Death Machine, a Final Fantasy 1 character unit, wasn't. Anyway, regardless, Death Machine is best in class for tanks, followed by Golem, then Odin. Healers is actually the SR, the Ahriman, followed by Shiva, followed by Ochu, and last but not least, supporter class, Shiva, followed by Siren, followed by Ahriman. So these are the best summons for each of these classes. Odin is currently not in the game, neither is Tetraselphid, as well as Ramu. There's quite a few units on this list that are not available in Global yet, but gives you an idea of what type of summons you should be potentially pulling for in the future. Ifrit is just really good if you want to build spear units in the future. Fist users, Lamia, thankfully is very cheap. Slash attackers, such as Stern or Ramza or Landu, will absolutely love Odin. And Tetraselphid will be great for Lucia fans, as well as Frederica. Shiva, who just came out on the global side, is fantastic for Medina or any future magic attacker. Currently on global, I would say that Golem is absolutely just fine. Healers, Ahriman is a overall really good summon, surprisingly. But yes, that is the general overall look of what summons are best, because summons have a lot of different characteristics to them. They do have elemental resistance, they do have evasion up, they do have either attack or magic up, they have killers on them, and they have other things too, particularly just their damage types up. So when you are building an Esper, you should take into account for what you want your Esper to be built for. Do you want your Esper to be more for your healers, or do you want them to be for your attackers? If you're going for attackers, then it's almost always good just to go for that. If you want them for summon damage, that is a pathway. You will not have enough SP to get all of the abilities, not even close, but you will have enough to get a fair amount out of your Espers, and that's kind of just, enough. But regardless, Espers, a lot of people will kind of just think that elemental is important, and it not necessarily is. If you're looking to get a lot out of your Espers, the more you train, the more you are farming story missions. When I said, more recently, I have been on my stream saying that people should not be farming in the EXP vortex. Other than the gold vortex, there really isn't much point of doing a lot of farming in the plains, because you can get a lot of stuff from events. But story farming is really important. That is where you get your awakening material, or your job class improvement materials and whatnot, and that's where you get a lot of EXP, as well as just doing quests and farming quests. So while you're doing that, that is also good, because that is increasing your Esper's compatibility with units. And that goes a long way to making a team develop, by just constantly starting to build those connections, not only between characters, like I've mentioned in other videos, but also with your summons too. But yeah, the other thing here is definitely taking a moment to show what are the best type of Espers for each one. And of course, there will be tons tons of Espers. Me personally, I'm just waiting for Behemoth to show up and whatnot, but that is probably still at least a ways away. Behemoth's probably not going to be until the 1-year anniversaries, and you know, there's plenty of other summons in the meantime. Alexander, Anima, and who knows what else. Can I cross my fingers for an Final Fantasy VIII Moomba? Why not? Yeah, there's just a lot of potential for Espers in the future, and by that standard, definitely start planning now which Espers you want to develop, and that will pay off for you in the long run. Again, War of the Visions is a game a lot about planning ahead and figuring out where you want your resources. Now, for the JP side, that was definitely more difficult, but for the global side, you guys do have the advantage of kind of knowing a general roadmap ahead, and that makes it easier to plan. Anyway, hope this video helped you. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, if anybody you know is having problems with Espers, you know, get them to check, or War of the Visions in general, check out the rest of my War of the Visions content. There's lots of stuff on there, and I'll continue making stuff for what people want in the future. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.